Hey everyone, welcome to this weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast for the week of November 13th to the 19th of 2023. All right, so this week we have a new moon right at the beginning of the week on Monday. So this starts the new lunar month and ends the previous one, which was an eclipse month, and that one being quite transformative, now giving us a fresh new start and fresh new beginnings. So the early part of the week is good to just build a little bit of momentum and maybe plant some new seeds, set some new intentions. It will be in Sidereal Libra, so it's really good to focus on things in terms of bringing more balance into our life and even perhaps involving partnership or relationship type of energy. And then with this particular new moon, we do have some important aspects here. We do have a conjunction to Mars. And so the sun will conjoin Mars later in the week as well. Mars is all about asserting ourselves and expressing our needs, and here in Libra, it's about doing so in a way that is, again, balanced and perhaps in those interpersonal relationships. There will be an opposition up to Uranus with the new moon. That'll be aspecting with the new moon on Monday, which indicates a bit of finding balance with a bit of impulsivity, maybe wanting some change and some freedom, or some of that individuality may be coming through with Uranus and Aries. So again, balancing that out. But the new moon is trining up to Neptune, the receptive and spiritual planet, with, again, the new moon, and that aspect's going to go exact towards the later part of the week. So all week long, there's this support from Neptune, which can help us be a bit receptive, a bit willing to go with the flow, and really access a bit of that accepting and unconditional energy when it comes to those relating energies as well. All right, so let's go and take a look at all of this here in more detail when we return. Alrighty, so here is the sky for this week. We're going to look at this for each day of the week, starting first with Monday, November 13th. And as you can see here, we are using the visible sky on this channel, which is very different from mainstream astrology, which unfortunately does not use the visible sky. And so if you are new to this channel, and especially if you notice some of these sign placements are different, like maybe you're expecting this new moon to be in a different sign. If so, definitely check out the link down below for more information on using the visible sky, called True Sidereal Astrology. All right, so here is the new moon right off the bat on Monday. And again, a lot of the aspects that we're experiencing this week are part of the new moon. Here it is in the transit graph. New moon here on Monday has these aspects to it. The new moon will be opposite up to Uranus. The sun will be opposite up to Uranus early in the week. And these aspects you're seeing here, these ones here on Friday and Saturday, are also part of the new moon. So let's go ahead and break this down one by one in terms of what these new beginnings are and what we'll likely be experiencing both in the early and later part of the week with these configurations. But first, let's do a little bit of a recap. Let's see where all the fast movers are. Of course, we have now the sun and Mars getting close to each other here in Libra. So the focus is definitely on balance. Libra, the scales, is all about seeing that in everything in life, there's two sides of the coin. And Libra helps us recalibrate those scales. And so it's great to do that, to see that we do view life through the lens of duality, but there is also what you might call a third counterpart, the center counterpart, or what you might call the top of the scale, which balances the two polarities. So good to see that while it is important, of course, to have polarity in life, there's also the third, the centered approach, the middle approach. And this can be in our personal lives through our own personal development, our own energies of life, like looking at our own life and seeing, maybe there's some recalibration needed. Maybe there's too much energy into work or home, or maybe too much into our own needs or others' needs. And so it's a great time to balance that out with Libra. And the new moon is certainly helping us do that. Now, Mercury has recently entered into Scorpio, so our minds are in the underworld this week. And it is great for things like research and uncovering deep stuff when it involves mental Mercury in the deeper energies of Scorpio, which you might call the underworld there. And Venus is still in Virgo, and so still enjoying and valuing a bit of improvement and refinement And this will actually be quite an important placement for Venus because, Venus does rule Libra. And so anytime we're dealing with these signs that the planet rules, the planet ends up being a very important expression of the experiences. So when we talk about bringing balance into our life, when we talk about developing our partnerships or relationships, or how we relate with others, we're going to likely do it in the Virgo way, where Venus is. And so in a way of striving towards improvement and refinement, right? Now, this isn't the easiest placement for Venus. She's actually debilitated here, meaning that she's weakened. She doesn't really enjoy the energy. Or rather, what we could say is just that Virgo is very different from what Venus symbolizes. Venus is about beauty and harmony, right? And Virgo is about perfection and improvement. And as you can see, perhaps most clearly in relationships, that perfection and improvement energy isn't so easy to develop, in the sense that, of course, others don't like to be, pointed out in terms of what can be improved or fixed, or, improvement is just not in the realm of relationships, at least not very easily, but it can be. And so here it's, of course, seeing what we do have control over with Virgo, which is fundamentally ourselves. And so here it's a great opportunity to do that. Again, personal development, anything that's about striving towards improvement for ourselves. But even in our relationships, of course, we can connect with others who are open to, improvement and working on things together, jointly, these kinds of things. And it's a great time for that with Venus here. All right, so let's go ahead and look at this for each day of the week. We pretty much covered it there. It really is about that Libra energy. But the new moon will be on Monday, and it is going to be conjunct Mars. Again, the sun will conjunct Mars later in the week. And it is going to be opposite up to that Uranus, which is going exact on Monday, and then trining the Neptune, which is a little bit later. So with the Uranus energy, I think that's going to be the strongest one here on Monday. And so Uranus is all about freedom and change and individuality. And in oppositions, that tends to tip the seesaw, right, into one extreme or the other. And so with Uranus, it's a reminder that yes, individuality, and in Aries, independence and, that true self needs to be honored, but in a way that, is mindful. And that mindfulness helps balance out the seesaw, and here helps us live more in a way that is true to ourselves, our true self, but at the same time also mindful of perhaps any unconscious needs to go to any extremes with those things. Sometimes the over extremes of Uranus can be rashness, impulsivity, wanting to break free, break through, or rebellious and revolutionary to the extreme. And then under would be not connecting to our true self, not listening to that excitement. So it is a good day to challenge ourselves with listening to our excitement, listening to our true self, and finding the constructive ways of cultivating that with balance. And again, the balance really is because not only is it Libra, which is the time of balance, but opposite Libra is fiery Aries, which is our own needs. So you have Libra, which is others' needs, our relationship needs, and wanting to do the right thing and fairness. This is Libra. With our own needs, Aries, right? And this is particularly emphasized with Mars being involved here with the new moon, as Mars is that Aries energy, that assertiveness, our needs, our drives, the self-oriented energies. And so this is really the symbolism of, I think, this new beginning is how to cultivate doing the right thing for ourselves and others, morality, ethics, balance, fairness, coming to mutual agreement. That's the Libra side, but also incorporating our needs in the same process, and in this case of Uranus, listening to our true selves as well. So oppositions aren't particularly challenging. I don't want to give the impression this is particularly challenging energy. It just requires some balance, right? Now we do have a minor aspect. Oh, and by the way, as we do get into Tuesday, the moon will shift into Scorpio, and so Tuesday does emphasize that deeper underworld Mercury energy we were talking about, and I would say Wednesday as well with the moon in Ophiuchus. So good couple days particularly for research and uncovering the deeper world and maybe doing some of that healing. And I would say with Mercury in this minor sextile with Venus, which is going exact on Wednesday, there's actually a bit of an opening here to maybe bring in some of that depth into some of that interpersonal stuff with Venus and Libra, okay? But also just fundamentally Venus being about enjoyment, it's just a good time to perhaps enjoy some of the mental activities and perhaps some of the communication activities, as these will be quite enjoyable. There'll be some openings there and perhaps even some opportunities for all things mental and communicative here, particularly around the Wednesday time period. Now, once we do shift into that Thursday time period, the moon will go into Sagittarius for both Thursday, Friday, and the early part of Saturday. And so a great time to expand our view of life a little bit. Nothing too major about the Sagittarius energies this week, but this middle to later part could be good for expanding our mental and literal horizons a little bit. That could be through philosophy, spirituality, of the mental expansion, but also, of course, literally. This could be a good time for a little bit of adventure in our life as well, however you might want to cultivate that. Again, nothing major, but it's nice to see the moon there in an easier sign of Sagittarius as we do come to some of these aspects here. And these aspects are, again, quite supportive with the new moon. We have these trines to Neptune and that conjunction to Mars. And that's going to be Friday and Saturday. So the conjunction to Mars will definitely be the most important. And again, we'll probably already feel this as part of the new moon, when the new moon activates the sun and Mars. But later in the week, great to see how maybe there are some new beginnings here, really regarding cultivating our more assertive and initiating side. Again, in the theme, in the context of Libra, of balance, but really good for connecting with our fiery side, the side that wants to take initiative, the side that wants to be proactive, the side that wants to express our needs, the side that, again, does have these impulses and drives to pursue what we want on an ego level. And of course, the ego is very important, and I don't mean ego in the over extreme sense or the unhealthy sense. This is, very important to honor our needs and who we are and what we want in life. And this can be a fresh new beginning with that. And again, any intentions around those kinds of things in our life that do require initiative on our part is great all week and part of the new moon. And we could see some new beginnings with this, though, here around the weekend, starting that whole solar cycle with Mars. Now, it's nice to see Neptune in trine. Neptune, again, that spiritual planet, will be trining that conjunction. And so here we could be noticing that it's easier to be a bit receptive, a bit willing to go with the flow, and perhaps in those interpersonal energies, as we are seeing a lot of that in the sky at the moment, the unconditional acceptance of how things are. Now, it doesn't mean, of course, accepting what people, give us or provide always. Of course, boundaries and all this is important, but acceptance in the universal sense, acceptance for how things are in our relationships, being grateful for them. And of course, unconditional love and acceptance on the spiritual underlying level, non-physical level. And so it can make it a really good time for, again, connecting in a way that's not only receptive with life, but also quite receptive in our relationships. And noticing things like how it's easier maybe to be, compassionate and accepting in general, and, willing to really connect in a way that's more soul-fulfilling in our life, both, again, inwardly and outwardly. So nice to see that trine. Very nice there from Neptune. Good to utilize that. And still, of course, even with the easy aspects, still good to challenge ourselves to utilize that stuff. So good time for spiritual activities. And again, some of that receptivity is great. All right, and then we close out the week here with the moon in Capricorn. So late Saturday and all day Sunday places the theme here around some responsibilities and some things in life that require discipline, whatever that is. So a good weekend for all things discipline, responsibility-wise. And once we do get to Sunday, we do start to technically enter into that first quarter moon, which is typically where we will come to our first challenges of the lunar cycle that would have started on Monday. But it's not that it's a time of things happening to us in that sense of challenging. It's a time to challenge ourselves, and set the intentions and really start to move forward the new beginnings that we either saw come into our life earlier in the week or that we've set out to do earlier in the week. All right, so everyone, that is the week in a nutshell. Most important thing is that new moon concentrated around the Monday time period, ending the previous lunar cycle. Still gives some time for some of that ending, particularly around Monday, as we'll still be closing out that previous very transformative eclipse month that we just had. But it is a new beginning here in terms of Libra, the scales, seeing two sides of the coin and walking down that centered or middle path. And doing so in a way that is still true to us and our needs and our true self, and perhaps some new beginnings involving cultivating some of that proactive and initiating energy in our lives. The communication energies are supportive a bit this week, and a bit of that deeper energy with the underworld, especially Tuesday and Wednesday. And then the weekends here with some of this receptive yet initiating energy of Neptune and Mars. All right, so everyone have a fantastic week. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to click the like button if you're watching this on YouTube. And if you haven't yet gotten your True Sidereal report, there's a link down below for that. There's a free version and a paid version. You can check that out if you haven't yet. But everyone have a great week, and I'll see you all next time for the next astrology forecast. Take care.